on the Aggie Sports Network. From Learfield, Aggie basketball has been brought to you by Sports Academy and Racket Club. Your club, your results, your life. Zions Bank. For 150 years of helping you succeed, Zions Bank is for you. Ford. Build Ford proud. Also by Stokes. Stokes Trucking. Doing the right thing since 1979. Welcome to Aggie Postgame from the All-in-One Flooring America radio booth. Here's Scott Jerrod.
Final in this one, Utah State loses to Colorado State 83-72. Coach Calhoun's going to join us here for our postgame conversation as Utah State suffering a tough loss tonight. Your postgame show brought to you by Farm Bureau agent Brandon Jensen. Contact him at 435-752-4800. It's your future. Time to protect it. Coach Calhoun, kind enough to carve out a few moments for us. And, Coach, there's a lot to break down here on this one. First off, you can look at it from a standpoint of you get down by 28, but then you cut it all the way down to 7. So just kind of giving your emotions on what you saw tonight.
Yeah, Scotty, I lost my voice, so this is going to be very, very short and sweet. But, you got to credit Colorado State. They outclassed us, outplayed us. Proud of Jordy and ID getting in there playing good minutes.
When you look at what you're going to be looking at now going forward, you have to wait till Sunday. What's these next couple days like for you?
Get out of here tomorrow as fast as we can, rest, and get ready for the NCAA tournament.
What was your message to these guys based on that first half?
Didn't really say much after. You talk about after the game?
Or even.
I haven't really talked to them. We'll get together here in a minute.
Obviously, Colorado State's the hottest team. Ran into a buzzsaw. What was the message at halftime?
Just didn't play very hard. I thought our seniors very disappointing. Tough way to go out. They didn't bring the energy and the effort we needed to win.
How do you reset this thing going into postseason?
2 days off and then back to work.
All right, Coach. Let's let you rest up that voice. Yep. There he is, the head coach of the Aggies, Jerrod Calhoun. He was right, short and sweet.
You were there. You watched the game. Or you heard it all here on KVNU. So now it's your chance to give your thoughts and ask your questions about the action as KVNU Aggie Game Day continues with Aggie Call. The phone line is 435-753-KVNU. The text line is 435-554-1175. KVNU Aggie Game Day is brought to you by Daryl's Appliance, Advanced Heating and Air, Primrose Home Care and Hospice, Blue Sky Restoration, Advanced Garage Door, The Logo Shop, Advanced Fireplace and Stove, Golden Spike Electric, Alpine Home Medical, S.E. Needham Jewelers, My Mattress, Riverwoods Conference Center, Cash Valley Bank, Aegis Healthcare, Jarek's Fine Jewelry, Les Olson IT, Adams Wealth Advisors, DD Auto and Salvage, LSS Insurance Agency, Cafe Sabor, The Sportsman. It's KVNU Aggie Call with J.D. Walker and Stockton Jukes.
All right. Well, I don't have many words for what we just witnessed in Las Vegas tonight. The Aggies going down to Colorado State, 83-72. J.D. Walker, Stockton Jukes, and I think I just need to change the... Is this going to help? This should help a little bit, right?
I don't think there's much that's going to help tonight.
All right, well, there's a lot to talk about. You can get in. The phone line's open right now, 435-753-5868. That's 753-KVNU, or the
I'd
text
be shocked
line.
if we get more than the 2 texts we have right now.
I am very...
Hopefully y'all went to bed a long time ago.
Gold star, if you are Aggie faithful, if you are up this late after that performance. 435-554-1175, 435-554-1175. We'll be with you until I get Coach Calhoun's post-game interview, but with his voice, I'm not quite sure, but I believe they're actually mandated to have to do tournament post-game, right? So Jason's got that settled up to work on it for us, so we'll get that playing to you. But my short and sweet thoughts on the night, Mason Falslev is a warrior. Kind of rough from three-point shooting tonight, but I didn't see any give up in that young man tonight. 22 points. 4 steals, 1 assist, 7 rebounds. Also, my second point is going to be Carson Templin had the best game of his season. 9 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, 11 points. And, going out with what seems hopefully just a cramp. We'll hopefully hear a little bit more about that. But other than that, Stockton, not a lot of bright spots. I know they kind of gave you a little bit of false hope there towards the end. I was on the doom and gloom train. Like, it just seemed like we were just playing the mirror image game against Colorado State just a couple days ago.
Yeah, I think my biggest frustration is it just felt like we didn't learn anything at all from that game in Fort Collins, and somehow it got worse in that first half. I'm proud of the effort that we put in the last 8 minutes, and then made it interesting, made it a little closer than it was the whole game. But 37% from the field, 21% from three, 63% from the free throw line. You missed 11 free throws. The front end of several 1-and-1s. That last 8 was great, but you spent 32 minutes digging the biggest hole of the season. So, Colorado State's a really hot team right now. They're a really good team. Nate Clifford is going to make an NBA team very, very happy in a few short months. I really just don't have much else to say other than this was a poor effort, and we've got to be better.
All right, hit the text line with a couple that have come in. You can hit the text to 435-554-1175. That's 554-1175. It was first got to get to the first one. This came in about just around midnight, so about an hour ago. So 2688. I hope you're having sweet dreams right now. Headed to bed. Sadly, I'm tired and hungry, and I don't want to watch anymore at this point. It was a good run. The Aggies will need to figure out some of this stuff. We're going to win a March Madness game. Even if we make it in at this point, I think we'll be a 10 or an 11 seed. I will tell you what I told Stockton in there. I fear in the future, if we get there to a NCAA tournament bid and we're there, and I believe you'll touch on that in just a second. You've reassured me that we're kind of locked in on that. But the other thing that I'm thinking is I'm kind of concerned with the way this team has played against contenders in the last month. And I know that, a lot of people say, well, the tournament is going to look at the overall season and everything. The last, 10 games doesn't matter. But it does when you're looking at the matchup and how this team is performing. And if you're going to go against one of the alleged top 67, quote, teams in the league, in the nation, it's going to be really, really rough out there, and I'm kind of concerned about an embarrassing first-round loss.
Yeah, biggest point of concern is they just don't know how to deal with physicality. Cannot play defense without hacking. I'm not really sure what the issue is there, but anytime they get challenged on a drive, they just cannot stop hitting. It's a big point of concern, and look, there's an argument that, hey, maybe, the matchup zone, while teams in the Mountain West have been, forced to get used to it and have seen it a lot in the last couple months, maybe some other teams that we could get seeded and matched up against could be bamboozled by it and could, have a hard time getting around it. But it really just, to me, it comes down to the physicality and the fact that they cannot hang with these teams that are willing to create contact. And anytime they go in looking for contact, the Aggies are giving it to them. You can't do that and win games.
Yeah, just looking at some of the reactions on X going on right now. Coming into the text line 4545. Why was Jordy Barnes playing in the last 5 minutes? I really think Coach Calhoun was going with who was making it work. And during the times that Barnes was in there in the second half, we kind of saw them go on a little bit of run and give us that false hope. But that Barnes looks like Coach Calhoun was going with the youngsters and not really, I think there was any method behind the madness except to going with what was working, right?
Yeah, I like the fact that he kept Isaac Davis in towards the end of that game. That was a much-needed burst of physicality. And I saw someone on X, I can't remember who, I'm sorry, but I saw someone say, I feel like Isaac Davis is going to hit the Mountain West like a ton of bricks in his second season in the conference, and he could if he really focuses on reining in some of that physicality for more accuracy and more efficiency on offense, because he does commit some just not great offensive fouls and gets caught on some moving screens and a couple different things. If he can hone that in and just get a little bit smarter about how he uses that physicality, then I think he's going to be a real problem. But Utah State, again, just going back to what Calhoun said last night after that game, they've got to go after a really talented big in the portal this season. They've got to find an answer for that lack of physicality at the 5 spot, because that is going to kill them in the tournament if they can't find a way to get around it.
Hey, looking at the other thing that was kind of coming in, and I think I was reading a different text. Sorry about that. 5662 today did start at like 5 something, I think.
I don't even know what day it is anymore.
Are bad games like these a matchup thing? This is coming from 5662. Ran into a hot Colorado State team. No effort for a lot of the game. All of the above. I think it is all of the above. You just touched on the defense.
Yep.
The offense, real easy. You can tell the assists. We didn't hit 10 assists until we were deep into the second half. And even if you look at the assist to turnover ratio, it's not what we needed. And when the Aggies don't get points off the assist like that, off the pass, off making it, it's doom right out the bat. Second thing off of that is that when that creates that for the Aggies, it takes away one of their offensive things. And teams have been able to do this, Stockton. When they do the high screen and they're trying to do the handoff and they're going around, teams are either jumping that, like we saw UNLV do it last night, or they're just stopping it like tonight. And Colorado State just picked up where they left off last time.
That's another thing we talked about in the pregame is you've got to be really smart about ball movement and getting around, using those ball screens effectively. Colorado State did such a good job of pressuring right at the line, right at the perimeter line, and you saw them. They always had 2 guys running around that ball screen. There was someone on a body at almost all times. Very hard for Utah State to get open, and the shot selection too for Utah State was just not stellar. When they could get some shots, it wasn't great. If they did get a rare open look, they missed. Again, I'm going to reiterate something I've said in many, many post-game shows. This team lives by the 3 and they die by the 3, and they died by that 3 ball tonight.
Yeah, it was bad. And when you interrupt that those high screens where they like to hand the ball off and get the rotation, you saw 0 separation. So then you see at the end of the game, and the reason why Jordy was in 0-3-3-9 is because he was making it happen at the time. Yes, seeing some stuff like Jordy, taking some shots and stuff like that, I think that's going to develop over time. We did see him take some shots, but look.
He got real flustered.
I'm going to tell you what. If you're on the floor with Isaac Davis, Jordy Barnes, who else was out there? Ian, Mason, and who was the 5th?
I think it was Carson until he
got hurt. You're Ian, Mason, Carson. Like that's your hierarchy. And then if you're going to your 4th leading option, number 4 says go back to 1 and start over again. Those other guys not shooting. And we've seen Jordy be a little hesitant on the shot, and that's going to be developed. And I tell you what, he's got a great first step getting around those things, and he really stepped in to help, put things in. I do understand 1623. It says, love Jordy, but he dribbles far too much, often picks up his dribble outside the 3-point line, very timid to shoot. I think we're going to see a development of that.
We have to.
In the coming seasons. Remember, he's still a true freshman, right?
That's another thing that we have to consider, and it's easy to forget, but we only had 3 seniors this year on senior night. This is a very young team. Mason Falslev's a sophomore.
And, listen, Coach was pretty clear. The seniors did not show up. Like, they didn't. Their performance was very poor tonight.
Ian struggled very, very much. 3 for 12 from the field, 13 points. 4 of them came from the free throw line. 3 fouls, 4 assists, 2 turnovers. Dex didn't do a thing. Missed the only shot that he took. Didn't get to the free throw line. Had 1 rebound, 3 fouls, 1 turnover. And, Aubin really struggled tonight as well. That was one of the keys that we talked about pregame is Aubin's got to be strong. He looked really strong on the glass in the first 5 minutes of the game, and then he went away.
6488. Did you know Jordy Barnes' dad was an Aggie? Yes. Matt Barnes.
I've
heard it several times. In fact, if I watch a Dave Fox TV broadcast, I hear about Jordy's dad, and apparently Mason played football in high school. I'm going to have to hear about that a little bit.
0339, will Utah State go to March Madness? Yes, let's talk about this because a lot of you on X are saying that we're going to the NIT. Stop it. Stop it.
What about it? Can we go to the Crown Jewel in Vegas?
Oh, my God. What even is that? The college basketball crown? What is that? I don't know what that is.
I don't know what it is either.
No, but seriously, let's rein it in. And when I say this, I am guilty of this at times as well. Utah State fans suffer deeply from recency bias. Deeply, more so than most fan bases in this country. Yeah, tonight was rough. We've played a really hot Colorado State team twice in the last 3 weeks. It's gotten the best of us both times. It was a little better late in the game, but yeah, it's oh my gosh, it's just not a good matchup for us. And Colorado State's a really, really hot team right now. But that being said, yes, we are going to go to the dance. We're going to be a 10 seed probably, maybe an 11 seed. Everyone needs to take a deep breath and stop saying we're going to the NIT, because we're not. We won 26 games this year.
8-3, 8-7. Proud of the fight and coming back. Awful first half. You guys need to stay off X also.
It's a nightmare right now. New Mexico fans care more that we lost than they do about anything they've done this season. It's crazy.
They live in Albuquerque. We live in Logan.
Yeah, I'm having fun with this one person in particular that's just losing it over some trash talk. I love chirping with people. It's one of my favorite things about like hockey specifically. And I'll get on there and I'll have some fun because, look, it's a game and we like to talk trash back and forth. But some people really take it just so personally. And there's a lot of gambling degenerates out there tonight. So
yeah,
go to bed.
Yeah,
you're better off just going to bed.
That's rough. 4151. Where this team really seems to struggle over the past month is lack of defense. It showed tonight. Corner threes are way too often. Yeah, I mean, I can't disagree with you. It's concerning to me the play against the contenders in the final month and a half of the season. It's one of those things that we talked about just a couple minutes ago. I'm exciting to make the tournament, but I don't want that to be the carrot. I want to actually go win a couple games. I want to see these guys do well, and I just don't have a lot of confidence right now, Stockton, going into this, because chances are we're not going to play a team that's on the same caliber as Colorado State, as Boise, as the teams that we've struggled with recently. We're going to play better teams.
Well, I'll tell you what, if we get the team that we had in late December, we could go to the Sweet 16. And if we get the team that we've had in February, we are going to lose the first round by 15 points. There's one of two ways it can go, and a lot of it falls on how well they're going to shoot the three ball. Unfortunately, that's the nature of the offense this year, is it's so three-point heavy. That's just how it goes.
But how do they cut back? How do they contradict? And before I forget, KVNU Logan 102.1 FM, 610 AM, and KVNUtalk.com. Thanks for listening to KVNU Aggie Call. Waiting for Coach Calhoun's postgame comments coming in and taking you into the early morning hours here on your Saturday. And Stockton getting back on that original point there. How do they? I mean, we're 86 games into the season right now. How do you change up the offense and move it a little bit more to get it to, execute? We saw a little bit more execution, but
yeah, and that's the thing where I'm not on board with, dropping things on Calhoun late in the season. Is, look, he's instilled his system, and that system worked very well for the first half of the season. The execution from the guys on the floor has dropped off, plain and simple. I mean, you get your best player on the team, Ian Martinez, 3 for 12 from the field on 13 points with 3 fouls and 2 turnovers. That's not going to get the job done. Mason Falslev's the only guy that broke 15 points. And aside from Ian and Mason, only Carson was in double figures at 11 points.
But I would give Carson Carson gets like the second and third start.
Carson played his heart out in that second half. He was a big part of the reason that they even made it interesting in the last 8 minutes. But again, this team spent 32 minutes digging the biggest hole they've been in all season.
Yeah. Coming in 4393. You can text and sound off and help with group therapy. 435-554-1175. That's 435-554-1175. From 4396, I'm still awake. Not quite 12 o'clock in AZ yet. I've been saying all season I'd rather take lumps early and learn lessons. Not sure what has happened this last month, but I'm keeping my fingers crossed the guys can lock in come next week. Can't take anything for granted for here on out. Go Aggies. I agree. There's no taking for granted. And in fact, I would start sounding the alarm, because you don't want to get accepted and then lay an egg in the first tournament game, because the committee's going to remember that down the road.
And it hurts the rest of the conference too. Look, we've had plenty of beef with plenty of teams in the Mountain West, but my thought from here on out is we got to be 10 toes down behind everyone else in the Mountain West for the rest of the season, because we want this league to be represented well. We want this league to make waves nationally. I want New Mexico, Utah State, and the winner of tomorrow's game are going to be in the tournament from the Mountain West. Maybe if Colorado State loses that game tomorrow, they still get an at-large because of how good they've been playing the last 6 weeks. But again, there's no mathematical weight to recent play. I know that used to be a thing in the tournament. It's kind of just subjective. But, we've really got to learn something from getting punched in the face today, because Utah State's been punched in the face several times in the last 6 weeks, and they've just been okay with it. And they can't be okay with it anymore. They've got to buck up a little bit and punch back.
Checking the text line from 0339. What color is your favorite number? It's When the Levee Breaks by Led Zeppelin. Up next, 6488. Do you think we have a chance of getting a 1-3 seed? I think we're bringing in some people now.
Yeah, I think we're all delirious. We've passed the 1 o'clock threshold. It's not a good idea for anyone to be awake anymore.
Let me check that area code real quick, because we got Boise fans sounding off. When the area code pops up 208, I'm starting to question things just a little bit there.
Hey man, you got to tip your hat to Boise though. They played a great game today, and they're gonna fight Colorado State hard. That's a really good matchup. That's gonna be a fun game to keep an eye on. I'm probably not gonna watch it, but
oh no, I mean, to be at the Beef tomorrow, I'm hanging out with the family. 13-26, we could not get an and one to drop. It was just brutal. Yeah, you think you brought that up, and Stockton is. I think we're both very loud and vocal during the games, but man, there are some things we both get in on, and that and one thing, man, if you could see how fired up Stockton gets, he'd almost will the ball back into the cylinder of that stuff. And hey, I'm not a Boise fan. Okay.
We do have alumni that live up in Boise. Yeah. It's a pretty interconnected network.
Yeah, I know, but I've got another one sneaking in here doing some shenanigans on the line. That's what I'm telling you.
We're on high alert. We're on high alert. That's all. Anyway, do I think that we have a chance of getting a 1-3 seed in the NCAA men's tournament? Not a chance if the underworld itself froze over. We're going to be a 10 seed at best.
He says, my grandson said we have a good chance. Hey, I'm not a Boise fan. I'm a diehard Aggie. I hope your grandson's the head of the committee, because I wouldn't look a gift horse in the mouth.
That's respectfully, that is delusion. We're not going to be a single digit seed in the NCAA tournament, let alone a 1-3. We will be a 10 or 11.
All right, we've got a couple coming in here that I'll bet you a soda pop we don't go. Okay, 0158. I'll bet you a soda pop we don't go to the NCAA tournament. What soda pop do you want? Is Jordy going to stick around Logan for the summer and get some shooting? He's good on 3-pointers if he gets good. Jordy strikes me. I haven't met Jordy, but just the interviews and the stuff, and I like the sports psychology and sociology view of it. Jordy shows me as a young man that works very hard to achieve the goals that he wants. The fact that he walked on and got a scholarship.
And he truly is a John Stockton build where he is
legacy
he is built to dish the ball out and run the offense from not a scoring perspective, but a facilitating perspective. And now his shot has looked good, and I think he is going to develop that in the offseason. I do hope that he sticks in Logan and works on some of that. That being said, it's an intimidating jump to go from high school to NCAA Division I basketball, especially, and I don't mean any disrespect by this, but especially if you're playing basketball in like Idaho, Utah, Wyoming, these western states. You don't have a lot of D1 talent that you're going to face in high school in this area of the country, and it's just the nature of the game, and it's the nature of how things go. But you think about it, it is a huge jump that these kids make at 18, 19 years old. I'm 25, and it's a crazy, intimidating idea to me to make that jump, even if I had just barely graduated high school at 25. There's no way that I would be able to do any of that. Now, that being said, I'm also not a D1 basketball player. I'm not on scholarship. It's not my job to do what these guys do. But we still have to consider that this is for all intents and purposes, a fresh out of high school kid that's playing against grown men. So we'll give him the time to develop, and he will get there. But there were some moments tonight where he looked as young as he is.
Coming in from 1527. Does it seem like Ian's body language is off, almost like lack of effort or emotion? I don't think so at all. I think you just have good stretches and bad stretches, and it just, he was instrumental in a couple games previous in the UNLV game and just didn't have it tonight. I don't think there's anything. I think, if anything, Ian's dialed in on the end of his college career and setting things off. So I don't think there's any lack of emotion or effort. I didn't see that. Correct me if I'm wrong, Stockton. Coach Calhoun and his staff strike me as kind of the guy that if you're sloughing off or you're not giving 100% or 110%, you're going to find your way to the end of that bench.
I think Calhoun probably said things in the locker room at halftime that smut authors would be embarrassed to post in a book. Just unbelievable things were said in that locker room because, again, Calhoun is not the guy that goes out there and takes the shots, makes the passes, does all that stuff. The execution was not there, and his system that has worked this season was not executed well. So it's just it's a tough position for him to be in. He's going to hold his guys accountable, and he did say in the postgame the presser he wanted to credit his two freshmen that played a bunch of minutes at the end of the game. So he liked what he saw out of Isaac Davis and Jordy, and I think that there were some positives from those two, especially Isaac Davis. I think he came in and did what he needed to do for those last 8 or so minutes when he was getting some real playing time. But again, it's just they've got to get more comfortable with that physicality because they're going to get a lot more of it next week. And
the competition isn't going to get easier.
No, it's not. Again, like we said, after that Air Force game, every game from here on out is going to be the hardest game of the year. And we saw another one of that tonight. 99-36, the Aggies looked like a team with an at-large bid waiting, no urgency to win. Definitely possibly. And you got to remember, Colorado State is peaking at this time because they are playing for their lives. Even with how good they've been the last 6 weeks, there's a big question mark if they don't win tomorrow, whether they get into the tournament or not. Same with Boise. So
yeah, I think the winner gets into the bid, but I think the loser's probably going to miss out.
Very likely because of how high on the SEC the rest of the country is for whatever reason.
I heard somebody 14 bids.
Yeah, no, it's ridiculous. Most of the SEC is out of the net top 50, and they're going to put most of them in the tournament. It's ridiculous.
That is nuts. 435-554-1175 if you want to sound off as we just pass about 1 o'clock this morning here on KVNU. We're live here after the Aggies take the loss from Colorado State, 83-72. Stockton Jukes, J.D. Walker with you. That number, 435-554-1175. Going to hang out just a little bit longer. Looks like we've got one more that came in here, 4980. Nice to see this team show some fight at the end. Wish we would have ended the season better. I think the tournament schedule really needs to change so it's not really late in an afternoon game. Can't wait to see us in the big dance and see what we're do during the offseason. This team could be dangerous next season if we can keep the team together.
Yeah, I agree. Let me gripe about the scheduling really quickly. There was no reason for the first game today to start at 7:30 and the second game to start at 10 or 6:30 and 9 locally because the women's tournament's over and there were no games before the 7:30 game. Why are we playing that late?
And I'm just going to throw this.
And then we have the tournament at 4 p.m. Mountain Time, 3 p.m. local tomorrow. Colorado State's going to be dog-tired. Boise's going to be dog-tired. It's less than 20 hours for both of those teams to tip off and less than 17 for Colorado State. So, the scheduling, as complimentary of it as I was yesterday when you had to fit those 4 games in and keep them from overlapping, I don't understand why they picked 6:30 and 9 p.m. local, 7:30 and 10 p.m. Mountain Time for half the schools in the conference when they didn't need to.
Yeah, I'll throw it out too. The Mountain West Conference with Thomas and Mack in Las Vegas on a Friday night in March is probably the 60th most most popular thing to do. From 5430, waiting to hear back from Jason Walker on the post-game show. Hopefully we'll check in with him soon. I know he's in the mass down there at the Thomas and Mack. 5430, do you think Mason has any chance of staying in Aggie? I don't know the inner workings of all that, but I know Coach has been very complimentary, and they have a great relationship. I know Mason loves it here. He,
I'll be shocked.
I would be shocked too, but you know
especially
what?
For all intents and purposes, it's been like a really good fundraising year, and the NIL money is on the up and up. I mean, that's one of the things that Calhoun was alluding to when he talked about the transfer portal and getting a big this offseason. So I would be surprised if he leaves. Only team that I think could really attract him would be BYU, and we already know they were tampering with him mid-season, so I don't think he's leaving.
Yeah, and that's a lot of stuff, and sometimes Eric and Jason will cover that over on the Full Court Press on our sister station, 106.9 The Fan and 1390 AM. But I like to look at and study players' behavior and stuff like that. What Mason showed me out on the court today in every game this season, even through the ups and downs, the struggles with the free throws and stuff, he's just got this sixth gear that never stops and a dedication to this team and his teammates. When he chirps at players for making bad passes at the end of last game, that's the kind of stuff that you clean up in a championship caliber ball team. And Mason's the kind of guys you want to build that foundation around. So only a sophomore. Also, look at the guys in the big moments today who stepped up. Mason, Jordy handling the ball handling duties at the end of the game. And also Carso. Isn't he just a sophomore? I mean, we've got this young core of this team coming back, and I don't think there's any reason to doubt anybody coming and going until you actually hear it. But this team has had a very successful season. You know, now that the Mountain West pretty much season is wrapped up, the regular season, postseason, the Aggies 26-7, 15-5 in the Mountain West. You know, I think we would have taken this at the beginning of the year, being picked sixth in the Mountain West and everything, and how this run's gone.
100%. Yeah. It's kind of hard to make yourself think that way at this point because of how hot the season started and how it's seemingly falling off towards the end. It's definitely been a disappointing last few weeks for this team. That being said, they still have time to turn it around. This game was not the go-home game. The next game is, but this game was not. So you've got time to bounce around. If there's a bright side here, we get an extra day of rest, and I really don't think we have to sweat anything about Sunday. But you're going to be an underdog for your entire tournament run, because you are going to end up as a 10 or 11 seed. You're not going to play a seed lower than you for the whole tournament unless someone pulls a massive upset. So it's you got a tough task ahead of you, and you're really going to have to buck up. You can't play anything like you played tonight and even last night, because last night you were lucky to get away with a 12-point win. Only reason you were even ahead by double digits is because UNLV was so bad at shooting, and then that ended up moving its way over to the Aggies tonight.
Let's would you pull up the Ag Ship there on Twitter, and would you run through some of the post-game quotes that he's broken out? We're now 40 minutes past, and so past the end of the game.
I don't know if we're getting audio.
Yeah, so I've tried to reach out to Jason, but I know the transmission stuff in the Thomas and Matt can be weird.
All right, here's a couple quotes. Calhoun said he wanted to credit those two freshmen, like we mentioned. Isaac Davis, it feels good to get the run back, but we couldn't get enough done, and we ran out of time. Jordy said, we have some of the best students in the country. We had a ton of kids here who traveled a long way to get here. Utah State's a great place to be. Yeah, huge shout out to the herd.
Oh, yeah. You know, the
audible for the entire game.
Like seriously, you got Mason, you got Carson, and then the herd. Tonight, those are the MVPs. Those are the stars.
Yeah, 100%. Isaac Davis, on not always knowing if he'll play, doesn't matter. You always have to stay ready. I thought he played some really quality minutes in the back half of that second half. Coach Calhoun, our seniors just didn't have it. You have to have energy and a bounce in your step, and they just didn't have it. He did say that Isaac Davis will play in the tournament as well. Couple more from Calhoun. We are a team that needs to get out and run. We score on 62% of our post-ups. We don't get easy baskets. Reiterated that he's going to get a big man in the portal who can score on the block, and that Isaac Davis will be able to do that moving forward as well. Love hearing that. And the last quote from Jerrod, there's an empty feeling. Hopefully our guys will get a couple days of rest and be very motivated to see who we get on Sunday.
And then dropping in 6'4", 8'8", there was some Colorado fans that got kicked out.
Oh, yeah, when that guy got ejected, Utah State went on their 10-0 run.
Also, props to the Prez, Dallin Wilson and the herd. They apparently was
some Boise fans were threatening to swing on him.
Yeah, there was a confrontation there, and the El Presidente kept his cool. And it was really cool to see just everything you believe about their students here at Utah State. You saw that play out there, and security got involved, and there was a I don't know, fanny pack commando, you call him, or something, saying he was going to do something about it. And it was just Dallin and the rest of the herd members handling themselves with class, and just being able to hear throughout the whole game the herd. And then when it got towards the end, Eric Franson tweeted out that the herd actually descended into the lower bowl and filled up an empty area to bring it, and that kind of energy came back. So Man, Stockton, some final thoughts. I know we're waiting here on Selection Sunday, but
I got one more good quote from Calhoun that I want to read here. Personnel-wise, we're small, and it's been a problem all year. Calls Falslev and Templin Utah State's most competitive players and says they need more competitiveness from a few guys, but didn't name names. 100%. 100%. Size has been the issue all year. It's been the issue for a couple years here. I mean, we had Great Osabor last year, and that was a huge refresher to have that kind of size and that kind of power down low, but he only stayed for 1 year. Got to find someone to fill that hole in because, as good as Aubin looked at the beginning of the season, he just hasn't been that. We had a text in here that said, do we think Aubin's going to get drafted? No. I'm sorry, he's not. He might play in Europe, but he's not going to play in the NBA. We've got to deal with the size issue, and for the fact that, Mason Falslev as a 6'3" sophomore is your most physical, most competitive guy, it's not going to get it done, man. It's just not.
You got to, like Carson and Mason leading that charge on that heart and that drive and that desire. Like, you got to find guys that want to hit that. And I think you do have some guys on the team that get that, but others, we haven't seen it kind of pop off this year. So it'll be interesting to see how things are going for the Aggies coming up in the transfer portal. We got Selection Sunday coming up Sunday.
I think what we all need is a good night's rest. I need some mountain therapy tomorrow. We'll tune into the selection show on Sunday. We'll see what the Aggies draw, but I don't think anyone needs to lose sleep over the tournament because if we're not in, the system is deeply broken.
All right, Stockton, I'm going to go ahead and cut you loose, my friend. Jason says we're going to get the audio here in just a second for Coach Calhoun's portion of the post game. So
I think you'll probably. I don't think he was in there for too long. It sounded like he wanted to keep things very brief tonight. But yeah, most of those quotes that we read off are from that post game. So, final thoughts. This one just feels icky. It gives you a bad feeling. Aggies scored more points than they did last night, but just looked really, really, really bad defensively. Could not deal with the physicality, could not play defense without fouling. It's something that they can get over and something that they've done, something that they haven't done in games before. They've been able to play defense before. They just need to figure out how to get back to that. I do think it's going to help if you go in and you play a team in the first round of the tournament that isn't familiar with this defense and one that hasn't had to scout this defense this year. But, man, that being said, that defense will only get you so far if you can't close out on shooters and stand up to a little bit of physicality without fouling. So I'm hoping that the extra day of rest does these boys good and that they're able to get their heads right before the tournament. Getting back to Logan and being able to rest an extra day before Selection Sunday and before you hit the road and find out where you're going next week is good. Obviously, you'd rather be playing tomorrow afternoon, but you got to take the bright spots where they are because there's not a lot tonight. But this team has shown us that they can do damage in big games, more so in the first half of the season than they have in the last couple months. But I'm not out on this team yet. I still think that they are capable of getting a win or two in the next couple weeks, and they could raise a couple eyebrows if they can hit their threes. But they didn't hit their threes tonight, and they didn't play good defense.
So, Stockton, going to go ahead and cut you loose for tonight. Thank you, my friend, as always. Appreciate you being here and always have a blast doing this, win or lose. So, Stockton and I will be with you again for the next edition of Aggie Game Day.
At least one more.
Yeah, at least one more.
At least one more.
We got to go dancing here next week. And going to roll out Coach Calhoun's interview here. I think some players with him, too. And we'll wrap things up here on Aggie Call on KVNU.
Student athletes Jordy Barnes, Isaac Davis, Coach Jerrod Calhoun. Coach, let's start with you. Get your thoughts on tonight's game.
Yeah, obviously bad matchup for us. You got to credit Colorado State. They got us down early in both games and could really never recover. But I want to credit these two freshmen to come in the game. The way they did was remarkable and never stopped fighting. So really, really proud of the guys the last 10, 12 minutes, how hard we played. And unfortunately, we didn't do that, for 40 minutes. But a lot of the credit goes to Colorado State.
Question for the student athletes.
For Isaac or Jordy, just talk about that run you guys made when you were out there with Martinez and Falslove, and I think Templin was the other guy out there.
Yeah, I mean, we just every huddle we just said we can do. We got plenty of time. We were just trying to fight back and play as hard as we could. And I think we just saw a few shots fall and got a few steals and turnovers. And I mean, we started getting it going, but we just ran out of time. So.
Right here.
Kind of on a similar point, I'll ask this: just what does that run mean as far as, like, obviously you ultimately don't get the win, but what does it mean to you guys, knowing that you fought back, knowing that you cut it down, even if ultimately you didn't get the win?
I mean, I don't really know what to say, really. Just feels good sometimes, it feels good to, it was rough at first, feels good to, get the run back, but just like Jordy said, just couldn't get it done enough and we ran out of time.
Anything else for our student athletes? Right there.
Either, or I guess both of you, Jordy and Isaac, what can you guys say about the energy in the building? Long way from Logan, and a lot of people showed up to watch you guys play, and the bench as well. The whole team had a lot of energy. What can you guys say about that?
You got to credit our fans. We got some of the best students in the country. I mean, we had tons and tons of kids here, traveled a long ways to get here, and I mean, it's just respect for our fans and our students, and I mean, it's a great place to be. Utah State's a great place. I mean, we got the best fans, and so it's too bad we couldn't get it done for them, but I mean, we still got some basketball left to play, so we'll hopefully bounce back.
Yeah, it means a lot to have the family come out and everybody supporting us. That's when when they really care about, us and, our team. So, it meant a lot for all of us to see everybody out there and, cheering us on.
Go ahead.
Hey guys, Mark Greenwood from the Utah Statesman. Colorado State in their matchups against you guys have shot well above their season averages. What is it about their offense that maybe just doesn't go well with your defense that they've been just shooting so well in their games against you?
I mean, they just got out to a quick start. I mean, they're shooting the ball good right now. They're playing really good basketball. I mean, I think that's just what happens. Once you see one fall, you get some confidence going. That's just what happened, so.
Isaac, last night Coach Calhoun said you were going to play tonight. Did you know that you were going to get in and play tonight?
Yeah.
I mean, how do you get yourself ready when you don't know if you're going to play or not?
Doesn't matter, just always got to stay ready.
Anything else? All right, we'll dismiss the student athletes at this time. Thank you, man. We'll keep Coach for a few more minutes. Go ahead.
Coach, just want to ask a little bit about the decision to bring out, two freshmen out here. I know they were on the court late. Does that kind of play into it where those guys contribute and you bring out a couple of freshmen and, big press conference here?
Yeah, I mean, our seniors just didn't have it. You got to have energy. You got to have bounce in your step. For whatever reason, they didn't have it. So we've played a lot of guys all year long. So Jordy, had played well against them in the first matchup. Jason and Isaac, we've got to get some more production on that front line. So he'll play in the NCAA tournament as well.
Over here.
Carson Frost with the Utah Statesman. Coach, Colorado State's a team that kind of plays a more patient, methodical offense. They're 266th in the country in pace, and the 10 of their games where they had played at the slowest pace, they won all 10 of those games. So was pace something that you guys kind of made a conscious effort on addressing playing against Colorado State?
Yeah, very, very good question. That was probably one of the biggest keys, right, that we talked about with our group. We are a team that needs to get out and run. I mean, let's call it like it is. We score on 62% of our post-ups. We don't get easy baskets, right? That's what I've said now for 2 weeks. We will get a 5-man in the portal. I'm going to get one that can score the ball on the block. Isaac Davis is going to be a guy that can do that. So, we don't get easy baskets in the half court, so we need to get out and we need to run and we need to play fast. And, Colorado State both times did not let us do that. It's going to be a great game tomorrow against two teams that I think are playing as good as anybody in the country, right? It's all about matchups, we're not out of it either. We'll see, on Sunday who we get. And the reality of it is it's a lot of hours, and it's a lot of work, and it's a lot of film sessions, and it's a lot of meetings, and it's a lot of recruiting, and it's, really a 365-day job, to try to get a group of guys to buy into your system to go to an NCAA tournament. So, our expectation at Utah State is to win championships in the Mountain West. We've won 2 regular season titles. We fell short. We've won a couple tournament titles, right? We've won, I believe, 2 of those. So we didn't do that. So there's an empty feeling. Hopefully our guys will get a couple days of rest and be very, very motivated to see who we play on Sunday. I know I need 2 days to get my voice back because I felt helpless, as I do right now.
Coach Mark Green with the Utah Statesman. A big part of your offense and success is getting those pin down screen actions for Mason and Ian. What was it about Colorado State? It seemed like they were really limiting in that, not allowing them to get the ball.
Yeah, unfortunately, we don't have the personnel to get continually downhill drives, right? So, I stole a lot of that stuff from Joe Mazzulla. It's worked all year. One of the things that referees don't call, a lot of these guys stare at the ball, right? They make on-ball calls. They do not call off-ball screening, chucks or holds. I can't tell you the number of clips that I've seen, and we hold guys as well. So I think Colorado State is very, very physical in their pin downs, and our guys just didn't match that, right? You got to get some separation. With a one-day prep, it's very hard to work that. That's one thing I wish, about this tournament, this format would be a little different. But, both nights we're here till 1 a.m. or get back at 1 a.m. It's a little bit crazy. So you got to be ready mentally and physically, and I didn't think we were ready to do that today. But all of the credit needs to go to Coach Medved, his group. They're playing for a tournament bid. They got to win tomorrow. I don't think they should have to win. I think we should get 4 or 5 bids again. I don't think anybody in the NCAA tournament will want to face them or Boise. So I'm rooting for this entire conference and San Diego State to get 5. We'll see what kind of representation we have on Selection Sunday. I think we all know last year we had a record year, and we could be right there again.
Coach, you've taken some tough losses late in the season, had some games where you haven't played to your potential. How confident are you in this team to turn things around now as you turn toward the NCAA tournament where the margins are obviously at their thinnest?
Yeah, I think it's good. I think it's you get out of league play. League play is very, very long, right? It's 20 games and then obviously 2 more here. So it's 22 games of grind, and, to see another team from a different conference, it's been a long time since we've seen that. We had great success in the non-conference. That's why we're going to be in the NCAA tournament. If we didn't, we'd be out. Let's call it like it is. So, beating St. Mary's, beating Iowa, beating a good North Texas team. We have some really, really good wins in our non-conference. We were, able to win on the road at Viejas. We've got some really good wins that carried us. So it's your whole body of work. I think we got to hit the reset button. I think guys are, a little bit nicked up, and then I think the seniors got to step it up. At the end of the day, you're only as good as your seniors. That's how these teams go. Nick Clifford is really, really good. The guy's, if he doesn't go in the first round, I don't know. I don't know what these scouts are looking at. I think he's a beast.
Last question.
Coach, your team has struggled to rebound a bit down the stretch. Late in this game, you guys were able to kind of get your fight back on the boards, ended up +5 in that category. How encouraging was that for you to see that you guys were able to win that battle?
Yeah, I'm going to give you the questions of the night, man. You're making really good points. Just personnel-wise, we're small. It's been a struggle all year. Let's call it like it is. The physicality, the front line, all those sorts of things. So to see, Falslev get in there and Templin, those are our most competitive kids. We need more competitive spirit from a couple of the others to make a run in this tournament, in the NCAA tournament. But rebounding's kind of one of those stats. If you look at it, it's a little bit misunderstood. If you make shots, there's nothing to rebound. We couldn't make a shot. So, once again, credit Colorado State, but, our 3-point percentage was just abominable. You shoot 21% from 3. There's a lot of rebounds to get.
Okay, thank you for your time.
Thanks, guys.
Coach Calhoun's post-game comments, hearing from Jordy Barnes, also Isaac Davis after the Aggies dropped the game to the Colorado State Rams. Not the outcome we wanted, but tomorrow we take a deep breath. We wait for Selection Sunday and see where the Aggies go dancing. For Stockton Jukes, I'm J.D. Walker. Thanks for hanging out with us on this late night, early into your Saturday morning, about 28 degrees outside and snowing in Cache Valley. So hopefully if you're traveling, be safe out there. If not, have a good night, get some rest, and we'll see you next time.
This Utah State broadcast has been a presentation of News Talk KVNU and the Cache Valley Media Group, the heritage home for the Aggies.